Good Friday afternoon, morning, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard our Friday market wrap-up here at TOPGUN Options. And man, what an absolutely epic week. Going to debrief Amazon earnings because they were awesome. Well, actually, they weren't. We were awesome. But real quick, scheduled the next Hunters brief. You can find out about our investment clubs here at TOPGUN Options coming up in, I think, a week. Yeah, May 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Head to go.topgunoptions.com/hunters, and you can find out how you can get in the Hunters or our Max Afterburner lifetime group, which is just, we're having an absolute blast, especially going through earnings here. So check this out. Look at this implosion and then explosion. We got to debrief it. But let me give you a quick strategic brief. From the Department of Stupid, Biden's energy secretary wants all U.S. military vehicles to be electric by 2030. You don't even have to have a brain to know how ridiculously, insanely stupid this is. One EMP, electromagnetic pulse, will wipe out all of our military vehicles. You just can't even, you can't even make this up, how stupid these people are. It's not even, I can't even give this airtime, folks, but this is how crazy these people are. Unbelievable. So there's your Department of Stupidity brief for today. Kyiv says counterattack nearly ready with iron fist. Russian strikes kill 17. Here we go. So more death, more destruction, also more stupidity on the other side of the planet that we are funding, even though based on the top secret documents that have leaked out lately, Joe Biden's been lying to the United States, about what's going on. We're having to spy on Ukraine and Kyiv and Zelensky because they're not telling us anything. We're just giving them all these weapons and all this cash, and they're not telling us what they're doing with it. It's fantastic. We're not out of the woods yet. Had a nice S&P 500, I think one or two snipers. When was it, Tuesday or Wednesday? So Wednesday, the House passed a debt ceiling bill. Ain't going to be no default. Joe Biden? I'm not, no. Oh, so I guess this dude just doesn't believe in divided government, right? What part of divided government and bicameral legislature doesn't the president understand? Remember old Joe used to wax poetic about, I'm a negotiator and I'll sit down and talk to a guy after yelling at him on the Senate floor. This guy, he just goes where his uber left-wing progressive handlers tell him to go. Stand here on stage, sign this, say this. This dude is out there. So this isn't over. Why am I rambling about this? Because the market is going to implode and volatility is going to explode the closer we get to a default. Jean-Claude Van Damme, or whatever the press secretary's name, said it's MAGA, extreme MAGA Republicans holding this country at... what? Extreme is wanting to live within your means? Is to try and stop going deeper and deeper into debt? That's extreme, folks. That's extreme. So they've changed the definition of recession, woman, and insurrection. Now they've changed the definition of extreme. How dare you want to be responsible and live within our means? Hater. Fed says it failed to act on problems that led to Silicon Valley Bank collapse. This is the dumbest thing I've seen in a long time. So the Fed is giving cover to their Wall Street buddies. I briefed you a couple weeks ago that few banks were hedging interest rate risk. This is the smart money, right, folks? Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank. Hell, Barney Frank, who wrote Frank-N-Dodd, or Dodd-Frank, was on the board of Signature Bank, and it failed. Ladies and gentlemen, the chief risk officer at all of these places should be thrown out. Are you kidding me? You didn't know well, I guess you can be forgiven for not expecting that the Fed was going to raise rates ever again because they were just printing money and keeping rates at zero. Everybody was partying their ass off. There was not one adult in any of these banks that said, you know what, I think the bartender says last call. No. So the Fed is blaming themselves for what happened. And so isn't that awesome? This gives all the limousine liberals and the elite and the mooches and the Ackmans cover. Oh, well, the Fed, the Fed's blaming themselves for what you failed to do. This is disgusting, but this makes total sense, right? We're going to give all the people who are frothing at the mouth, screaming for bailouts. First of all, we're going to give them bailouts, and then we're going to say it's our fault that they got into trouble. It's a disgrace. Amazon. Weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy sent out a shareholder letter that said what? Hey, man, we're seeing some significant headwinds in AWS, Amazon Web Services, kind of our cloud computing. Oh, take a look before I forget. Budweiser. We put on a bear call spread like a week or so ago, and it's going to expire today for 100% profit, man. Short Bud, it's going down. Anyway, that was the only losing trade, quote unquote, that I had on my screen for the past couple of weeks. It was a little red, and now look at that. Anyway, back to Amazon. What happened yesterday during the trading day? Amazon was up 5%. Look at this. We had a gap open Thursday morning, and it like never looked back. It went up 5% in a day. The day it had earnings after the market closed. What did I tell everybody, my Max Afterburner, my Hunters members? This is a whizzism, folks. Look at the 5-day chart. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Okay? In after-hours trading yesterday, and what do I tell you? Earnings is like, I used to say 30-70. Now I'm saying 10-90. 10% of an earnings call is how you did. Why? Because it's in the past. As soon as you tell everybody how you did in the past, nobody gives a shit anymore. They immediately go, okay, great. Now tell me about the future. Oh, so the 10%, how we did in the past, the stock gapped up to like $122. It was up like 10-ish% after market close. What did I say? I said, keep an eye on Amazon. You can go look at all the stuff I typed in here. I said, the air is going to watch for the turn. It's all the way up here. But yeah, I said, watch for the turn. The air is going to come out of that balloon. And during, halfway through that earnings call, as they did say, here's what the forward guidance looks like. Slam. It slammed in after hours trading, gapped open down, and it's currently down 3.5%. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime you see a tech company like this get airborne all the way into earnings, it's a sell the news. I don't care if Andy Jassy said Jesus is coming back and is going to be our CEO. It still would have sold off. Very, very rarely do you see a stock run up into earnings and absolutely insanely crush it so much that it keeps going. It's a trade, folks. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Now the dust will settle for a couple days, and then we'll figure out what to do with Amazon. But this was free money, folks. Because it's interesting what happened earlier in the week. Microsoft had some good earnings, right? Microsoft came out and their growth was good. So Amazon popped earlier in the week when Microsoft popped, and then Amazon had a sympathy pop. And I'm like, well, either Andy Jassy lied a couple weeks ago about the headwinds facing AWS, or whatever. He didn't lie. He told the truth. So after Microsoft had its big pop this week and Amazon did a sympathy pop, once they got on the earnings call and said, yeah, the outlook ain't looking too good. Customers are looking for ways to save money. Oh, boy. Customers want help finding ways to spend less during this challenging time. What challenging time, Andy Jassy? I thought Joe and Kamala and Jean-Claude are telling us that the economy's great, everything's super fun, awesome time. Oh, well, corporate earnings are kind of telling us something different right now. Also going to take a victory lap. I told you on day one the Metaverse was dead and a dumb idea. You don't know what you're talking about. JP Morgan just bought like $1 million piece of, quote, property in the Metaverse. That's where everybody's going to. So let me get this straight. Zuck is betting that people want to sit on their couch with a face thing on and be in a fake world. Maybe when the environment's completely destroyed or after Joe gets us into World War III and you can't go outside because it's a toxic wasteland, yeah, maybe people sit on their couch and want to be in a different place. That ain't now. I said on day one this was stupid, a joke, and just dumb. Earnings this week, They're essentially done with the metaverse. Are they going to change the name back to Facebook? Because Meta is mostly back in the Facebook business. What an absolutely ridiculously stupid foray. I remember watching genius Jim Cramer and Zuck trying to do an interview in the metaverse. Like they had no legs on the body, and it was what is stupid. He spent $1 billion. The losses are insane. What a stupid foray out of your lane, and what you're. My God. Clearly, I was not in the room when they did this planning. Another victory lap this week. I will absolutely spike the football. Crypto is dead in America. Chamath, who was a Bitcoin and crypto frothing at the mouth, get in it. He was Bitcoin's worth $200,000. Said this week, it's dead. The United States government has pointed their guns at crypto. It's over with. I told you this on day 0. I said, no offense, folks, because I had a buddy, JetBlue captain, L-39 pilot, 5 years ago, 6, whenever it was. He's like, dude, you got to buy Bitcoin. Nobody knows about it. The government doesn't know. It's not taxable. It's peer-to-peer. And I'm like, well, stop saying all of that because it's stupid. The government, quote, doesn't know about it. You're not going to be able. You don't have to pay tax on it. It says he rattled off all the reasons that are dead now for Bitcoin or crypto, and I laughed at it. Did you just say the government doesn't know about it, or they're not going to tax it, or blah blah blah? I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I said, dude, no offense, because I don't agree with this, but no offense. In a battle between a government and central banks versus some made up coin. Who do you bet on? I don't want to bet on the government and the central bank. And I get it that the dollar's not worth the paper it's printing on. But, folks, you make seriously big enemies when you do stuff like this. I would love this. I don't want trust me, you're talking to a libertarian here, and I would want something like this to succeed. I'm also a realist. And I told you on day 1 it was a Ponzi scheme. It'll never happen. Maybe it can. It ain't now. And then obviously I just talked about our Bud Light or our Bud trade, made $2-3 grand, whatever that bear call spread was, in a week and a half. They have earnings coming up next week, I think, and it's most likely going to go even lower. University of Michigan inflation expectations soared in April. You see the word soared? Look at this. Joe Biden, Kamala, Janet Yellen, Jerome Powell. Inflation has peaked. It's coming down. Really? Ladies and gentlemen, remember that inflation is also mental. Inflation is sticky. People think things are high. It stays high. This spike in the University of Michigan inflation expectations, which the Fed looks at, means that next week we are definitely getting at least a 25 basis point increase in the Fed. They ain't done, folks. But if next week, big week with Jerome, if they even hint that after this 25 next week that they might kind of sit on their hands a little bit, you will see a rip your face off rally. Buy that thing with both hands. Yeah, but Wiz, you keep telling me the economy sucks and think the market ain't the economy, folks. Buy it with both hands. Or if next week they raise 25 and go, hey man, last week was sticky, Americans are still burning to death from inflation. We have more work to do. Look out below. So next week is going to be an incredibly pivotal week. Or is the Fed going to pivot? If they pivot, rally. If they don't pivot, we might be heading back down to the circulatory system here. Okay? Great week. Like I said, we had an absolute blast. Come check out what we do here at Top Gun Options. You can head to go.topgunoptions.com/hunters and register for our next free brief coming up. Make sure you register for the sit rep. That's the situation report. That's our free daily report. If I do it daily, sometimes I get busy, but go.topgunoptions.com/sit rep, and you should get what you're listening to right now in your inbox when I do it. Some days I can't do the sit rep because I'm swamped, but I'll try and make room for it every day. It's funny, when I stopped doing them daily, got a lot of grief in our customer support system. Like, where's my free content? I'm like, okay, man, you're welcome. All right, I got to get going. Let's go Cats. Game 6 tonight. Boston versus our Panthers. We're going to beat them, man. And then Game 7 back in Boston. We had an incredible week this week. If you follow me on Instagram with Bobby Orr, the great, the GOAT, a guest in the Top Gun option suite, and the guest in the Top Gun option suite, and also who? Wayne Gretzky. Got a picture of me, Susie, Wayne Gretzky, and Bobby Orr in the Top Gun option suite. See, membership has its privileges. If you're a TGO member, join us in the Top Gun option suite, especially when we go to the Stanley Cup. I'm manifesting that. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. Fights on, and namaste.